With this scene began the incredible journey of T.E Lawrence, and when it finally ended, he would be transformed into Lawrence of Arabia. The movie itself is cinema at its pinnacle, winning 7 Academy Awards, and it still stands the test of time. In fact, it looks much better than many of the movies that are released today. The wide-angle shots mesmerizes new audiences even today. The story, despite being 3.5 hours long, captivates even the short attention span. And the desert, becoming a character in the story, had never before been portrayed in such a magical way. The viewer is teleported to the early 19th century Arabia, in the midst of the greatest war the world had ever seen till date, the World War I. The movie begins with the death of Lawrence. In the church, his colleagues and some people who barely knew him debate on the character of this polarizing figure. Some despised him, some thought he was the most interesting man they ever met. We then see the adventure and life of this charismatic figure to decide for ourselves what kind of a man he actually was. Lawrence begins the journey treating the task assigned to him in Arabia as fun and easy. He is young, naive, and innocent at the beginning. Full of energy, he travels to Arabia with his Bedouin guide to meet Faisal, the king of Medina. And what follows is a crucial moment in the life of Lawrence and the final moment in the life of the Bedouin guide. Drinking from a well, they spot on the horizon a mirage of a man riding a camel towards them. Tensions build as the man approaches closer and closer. Finally, we hear a gunshot which kills the Bedou. Shocked by the atrocity, Lawrence refuses to take the aid offered by Omar Sharif, the rider. Lawrence was enraged to witness a murder and rebukes him to his face for the sin he has committed against his fellow Arab. This scene displays the value of human life that Lawrence possessed. This also later comes up as Lawrence leaves the whole army back to the deadly desert he had just crossed to save the life of a single man that was left behind. His bravery also creates loyalty among Arabs towards him, who calls him Orange. He is gifted a traditional tribal robe in all white, symbolizing his innocence and peaceful nature. But few moments later, he is forced to execute the same man that he had risked his own life to save. This was the first moment which births a nihilistic nature in the protagonist. He is now what he despised, a murderer. But it is not just that, it is the fact that murdering that man was joyful to him. As the movie goes on, we see the robe turning dirtier and dirtier, signifying the mind or soul of Lawrence also being corrupted by the world around him. What does that tell you about human nature? We are all miraculously gifted with a conscience, but despite knowing right from wrong, we continue to hurt others and ourselves. We learn that at its core, Lawrence of Arabia is a movie about the intoxicating effect of power over a man and its conflicting nature. We see Lawrence mentally in conflict with his British nationality and its goals, and the Arabian cause, which he is increasingly becoming a major part of. Along with that, there is also the conflict, which is much deeper. Lawrence valuing human life, but at the same time enjoying taking the life of a human being.
Something else. But then, I enjoyed it.
He gets a high from writing the end of a man's story. What is it, if not the addictive nature of power? The power of taking away the most valuable asset a person can have, his life. We also see this in the later part of the movie, where Lawrence forgets his goal of going to Damascus in order to completely destroy an army which killed many Arab courtiers earlier. We see a novel look on his face, wrath take over him. Not thinking twice, he murders many. Even Omar Sharif, the man who Lawrence criticizes for being a murderer, is dumbfounded by what he has now become.
If you answer, there'll be bloodshed.
You speak to me of bloodshed.
It can be argued that even the untimely death of Lawrence can be attributed to his craze for power. But maybe I'm overanalyzing that part. Now, the real T.E Lawrence might be a completely different man, but Lawrence, depicted in the movie, is a man drunk with power, which ultimately led to his demise. Either way, Lawrence of Arabia deserves all the praise that it gets, and more. A beautiful character study of a man which shadows the psychology of all